So I want to talk about pendulums, and the great Vadim Zelen talks about this in his book Reality Transurfing. It's amazing. It's amazing. I never understood the concept until I spent some time reading about it, and it's very profound. And it's like I believe that there are macro pendulums and micro pendulums, but they're everywhere in this reality, right? So essentially they're like energy vampires, basically. And the more you feed it, the more it'll give you, or the more it'll drag you towards a certain direction or take you to a certain frequency. So I had a personal experience with it. So a couple of days ago, I was rushing to catch a train, and I was in my office, and before I left, I called my taxi. I said, "Hey, come," because I didn't want to drive that day. I had to get across town. So taxi driver gets there, and just before the driver gets there, somebody then contacts me in the office, and I had to have a quick short meeting with them. So then the first taxi I called had to leave. Bear in mind, I was rushing, so I needed to get there. So my frequency, or the energy I was projecting out, was anxiety, rushing. Oh, I don't want to be late. I'm going to miss my train. That was the frequency I was on. So naturally, the pendulum then pulled in this conversation with this director from this other company that I was working with on this project. So he then calls me, and I have to take it. It's a very high value project. I had to speak to him. So then I missed my first taxi. So whilst I'm on the phone call with him, I then book another one. The taxi shows up, and I everything ends nicely. And then I have to rush and go and meet the taxi driver. So I get downstairs and I get him, put my stuff in. And I told the driver, "Hey, I'm trying to get I can't remember, blah, blah, blah train from blah, blah, blah station. So can you do your best for me, please?" And no, actually, let's go back a second. So as he's reversing out of the car park, he hits the curb. That we have these like things, and his car goes over it. So he was a bit like not driving as fast to get out of the car park, because naturally something had just clipped his car. So he was a bit like, "Oh, what was that?" And as he's leaving the car park, I then say, "Look, I'm trying to catch this train, so can he make it a little bit quick?" And he's like, "Oh, well, I can only go as fast as I can," because he was also, now the pendulum had now shifted him, because naturally I was carrying that energy. So the vehicle I'm in has now the delay is now being manifested more even in my reality. So now he clips the curb. I speak to him. Now he's got the hump. And he's like, "Oh, I can only get as fast as I can." So, there's a bit of a tension in the car. And I'm like, "Yeah, whatever." So as we're driving, we're leaving the car park, we get to the junction, and I kid you not, we've not even driven 150 meters, and someone just drives straight into the back of the car. Boom. Accident. I couldn't believe it, and I thought, it's the pendulum. So that very moment, I had to then do exactly what he says. So I had to essentially create a disconnect between me and the pendulum. So then I started to laugh. Not at the driver, but I saw the humor in it. And it was so bizarre. The minute I saw humor in it, the driver saw the humor in it. Then he went out to take pictures and blah, blah. And the lady was a bit, worried. She was crying and stuff like this. And I was like, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's fine. Nobody's dead. The cars are fine. It's only, a bumper thing. It'll get fixed there. So it's not a major issue." And as soon as I took that approach, the energy shifted. And then suddenly, even though there'd been a car accident, we had to exchange details, blah, 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 blah. We got back in the car. I made my train with extra time. And it never happened. Because even on a regular day, like I get the taxi sometimes. Normally, even when everything's smooth, I usually would make it with 2 or 3 minutes to spare. But this time it was actually, I think, 6 minutes or something, even though all this stuff had transpired. You know, pendulums are real. Pendulums are real things, and you have to be very cautious how you spend your energy, how you give it out. And, you know, as he says, you always get what you don't want, because the fact that you're visualizing, thinking, vibrating on that frequency, you know, in your third eye, you can see that in your consciousness, it will manifest your creative energy. It will come to life, you know, especially if you back it up with emotion. So you need to shift that and visualize what you do want. And that's it. It really is that simple. And yeah, that's it really.